This is Northern Ireland. We're in Portstewart, and this is the start of the Causeway Coast Way. We're going to go to the Giant's Causeway and end up in Ballycastle.
Inside, just waiting for my love to come on his boat. We can fish.
There's a winch there for pulling fishing boats in. There's the fisherman's house. Dates from 1600. And this is the burn where the boats would have come in from. We stayed in Portstewart last night, and this morning we walked to the golf course to start this trail, and now we're heading back past Portstewart again. 1 mile into the walk there are public toilets by the children's playground. What is it?
The fishing boat. Right, O'Neill.
This information board right by Portstewart Old Golf Course, which is where we're walking through now, talks about this arrow, which was an arrow for pilots to drop dummy bombs during the Second World War, and there it is. This is us just walking through Portstewart Old Golf Course. Just looking back on Portstewart. What a beautiful day. Apparently, according to a local in Portstewart, we'll never know weather like this again. And that over there is Portrush. 3 miles in, and it's all been fairly easy walking. Right on the coast. Beautiful walk. Big steps down, and then big steps back up again. We seem to have reached the end of the golf course, which stretches from Portstewart nearly all the way to Portrush. That's Portrush just there. Just the other side of Tide's restaurant, this sign says that this is the site of Ballycastle. As you walk into Portrush. At about 5 miles in, we're going to stop at Portrush at Babushka Cafe. Let's see if we can get a cup of tea. We're on Ramor Head, which is at Portrush. And we're walking this way and then turning round, coming back on ourselves back that way. A row of hotels there, half of them are derelict, boarded up. We're standing at Port Neen reading about the salmon fishermen who fished here since the 1600s. And over there is the Causeway. We're going there. And we've probably got to walk along somehow this glorious sandy beach. That beach goes on for at least a couple of miles. It's nice walking on the wet sand. And now we've climbed up and we're going to be walking above the, well, there's no way through, so you have to climb up, and our path is going to take us up on those little cliffs there. That is an amazing camp spot there, as long as it wasn't too windy. And now a little bit of pavement walking on the way to Ballycastle. The water is just crystal clear. I'm going to go and stand on that lookout point. That is the definition of emerald waters. A few paces on from the first lookout spot, there is a second lookout spot which looks out towards Ballycastle. Ballycastle from the road.
Okay, thank you.
We're coming off the road now, and we're going to cross some fields to Port Ballintoy and then onto the Causeway. We just crossed a couple of little fields, and now we're walking down the back of people's houses. These houses all look new, and there's not many cars parked, just two. So does that mean no one lives here? Or they walk everywhere? Nice thatched cottage at Port Ballintoy as we walk through the village. There's people down there enjoying the clear waters, a bit of paddle boarding. Nice little sandy beach at Port Ballintoy. We just had a little rest stop and dinner break on this lovely bench in the car park at Port Ballintoy. Just after the car park at Port Ballintoy, we have to walk across that beach. Crossing the bridge and up the sand dunes there. What's this called? Ah!
That's called the three-quarter bridge.
Three-quarter bridge. Now we met a guy down in the holiday village back there that told us it was called three-quarter bridge because when they first made it, they only made the first 3/4 of it, and him as a civil engineer had to come back and finish it off with his mates. Runkery Beach. Nice bit of boardwalk to walk along by this river, and another golf course right on the beach. Not too many places to wild camp between Portstewart and here, but just after that big posh house, you could camp there. It's right on the cliff edge. Still on the way to the Causeway. There's a good camp spot there. I think that's 3 we've seen. And now we're going up that path. Getting closer to the Causeway. Looks like a good campground down there with a nice path going down to it, and then if you wanted to you could wade out and visit the cave just there. And we're going to stop at the Causeway Hotel for a swift half. Cheers.
Cheers.
About 16 miles in. A well deserved half. Cheers.
Cheers. Jubbly.
Just outside the Causeway Hotel you have a choice. Giant's Causeway Red Trail to your right will take you on top of the causeway, and the Giant Causeway Blue Trail takes you down to the stones themselves, and then we'll have a big climb back up again. Downhill on the blue route it is then. There appears to be some quite square, oblongy rectangle rocks sticking up out of the ground. There are mad big boulders all cracked up and looking like they're about to crumble. And there's more rectangular blocks of rock. Wow, okay. And the path seems to be made up of squares like the game Blockbusters that used to be on TV. I'll have a pee please, Bob. But all these flat rocks that make up the path around the causeway seem to have 6 sides. So let's see what we've got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every single one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Trying to be really careful walking around the rocks. We're sitting on a bench with a message that says, "Can you hear the sounds of the organ?" Now that could look like an organ over there, and as we spin round there's something else that could look like an organ, but we can't hear the sounds of the organ. You can just hear the water. And halfway up that hill, mountain thing, there is something that could be an organ. And what we're going to do now is take that path that's just there and follow it all the way around. We're on the path that cuts into the hill that we could see from down below, and the sign says it takes us to the amphitheatre, and then we've got to turn around and come back the same way because it's a dead end, and then climb up. And this bit here on the right is what we thought might have been the organ, but it hasn't said that definitely this is the organ. But there it is. Could be organ pipes.
Yeah, isn't it?
Oh, a door maybe leading to the amphitheatre.
I kind of expected to see seats going up that you'd sit on and watch a show. I guess it's the sound.
Yeah, that's what you'd expect from an amphitheatre.
Yeah.
But look, more pipe organs.
Yeah. And that's all the seats. But the erosion has, they've all collapsed into the sea, and that's why you can't walk around there now.
Right, let's go back the way we came. These steps are steep. I don't know if you can see, but midge infested. But they're not biting. We've been all along there, around to the amphitheatre, then climbed up ridiculously steep steps, and now it's this way on the yellow trail. This is the aptly named Yellow Path. This is the amphitheatre from on top of the cliffs looking down. There's some great campground just looking down on the amphitheatre. We're going to go on for another hour. It's 7 o'clock, sun's still high in the sky. We can do a couple more miles today, that would be great. Right, one of my favourite YouTube channels, Snowy Matrix. I'm ripping you off, man, this is for you.
Always showed authoritarian tendencies. He began to clamp down on freedom of the press quite early and began to get it going.
I'll let you look for that, but we're going to have to come out and have a hot chocolate and watch the sunset. Good evening, my neighbours. Good morning, 7 o'clock. In the morning, had a great night's sleep. So tired last night after 19 miles. I think we've got about 14 miles to walk today, so it's time to get up, get on the road.
That got me.
Morning coffee. Hey.
Morning.
It's another belter on the Northern Irish coast. I just sup our coffee and stare out to sea then.
Yeah.
Left only a couple of shadows. Come on then.
Hopefully we'll take them with us.
Looks like we're walking east. One last look on the cliffs where we camped last night. And this is where we're walking this morning, around the edge of the cliff there, and along that way, into the sun. We're 1.5 miles in today, and 30 minutes later. I think if we hadn't have camped where we were, we would have camped here. We wouldn't have had the sunset. There's still quite a good few places to wild camp after the Giant's Causeway.
That's it. Oh no, what am I gonna do?
What is that hole for?
Huh? See if you can get through. You're taller than me.
Height, isn't it, really?
It is.
That's a shorter gate. Whoa.
That's for short asses. That's for long asses.
The information board at Port Moon. This is looking down onto Port Moon. For a couple of centuries people have fished salmon here, crab and lobster, and that building down there is the fish house for storing equipment. Well, this is the area of Ballintoy Castle, and it's National Trust land. There's the castle over there. We're around the other side of Ballintoy Castle, and we're nearly 3 miles past where we camped. There's the house at Port Moon, over there. And this is good camping ground here, National Trust land. I think you'll be alright. Some good flat spots here. Again, just past the castle, you can see some good flat spots down there. We're just hidden from the houses on the other side of this big rock. Another great camp spot. We're going to go up these steps. Same bay, just round some steps. More great camp spots. And now, 50 or so steps up. Good campfire. It's like an oven. Car park and toilets, and our breakfast stop. Before the toilets, opposite the White House, a man just told me that this is drinking water. Life here is quite idyllic. You've got the watermen just pulling up, chatting to the bloke who lives in this house. Royal Mailman's turned up, he stopped for a chat. People have got time to stop and chat. This is the old way. There's a sign saying danger, footpath closed, and you can see it's corroded to the right of me. But wow, what a great place to have a little camp. That's the sign on that gate there that says footpath closed, danger. We just turned left to have a little look, and now we're going to go up here on the new path. Climb up some steps from the bay just below.
That's great, isn't it?
Incredible.
I thought I'd wait here, see your face.
Wow.
I know. That was one amazing surprise.
There's a long beach over there, and that's what we're going to walk along. And you pass this white house. Looks like you're going through people's gardens, but not quite. And we're going to end up at this, well, what was the smallest church in Ireland or Northern Ireland, I'm not quite sure. But they're doing it up and turning it into something different. Is this it here?
Yeah.
This was the smallest church, what, in the whole of Ireland or just Northern Ireland?
Oh.
Good question. It was a small church anyway. Right next to that blue and white house there. This bit here, just after the church, you can't do if the tide's in. So I don't know what you would do if it was in. But let's go see. We're going to find out in a minute then, aren't we?
Yeah.
So the lady back there we chatted to said it never really comes in too far, you can't get around. And the tide looks like it's on its way out, so we'll be okay. And then around there on the sandy beach and onwards. Hey. Not too bad. Just be careful. You'll be right. Wow, never in my puff.
I've got hair here.
More hair than me.
Yeah, the black ones are slippy, be careful.
This is Ballintoy. It's a lovely bay. It's a car park. Some toilets. You can get kayaking tours from here. Rourke's Kitchen is permanently closed. And something called Game of Thrones was filmed here. These are lime kilns.
So we set off on the Causeway coastal route at Portstewart, and we've walked our way along here.
Portrush, Dunluce
We've
Castle.
camped around Giant's Causeway,
Just after it.
and then we've carried on, and we're at Ballintoy now, and then we've got to get to Ballycastle.
Ballintoy. Game of Thrones fans. Do you recognise it? This is Ballintoy Church. The camera won't pick it up, but there is a rope bridge there that takes you, well, to those bits of rock. But it's £15 per person, so I don't think we need to do that. We will walk past it. We've got great views from here.
Yeah.
We bought a cup of tea from the cafe there at Carrick-a-Reed, and we are cooking up on this bench just here. Have a little 20-minute rest.
Yeah.
And as we walk away from Carrick-a-Reed, we are now on a road, and I think we're going to be on this road for quite some time, a few miles maybe. We get off this main road, turn right onto the Glen Stocky Road. The path into Ballycastle is not so dramatic as we've had previously, but we do have horses.
Hello, beautiful.
Nearly finished the Causeway Coast Way. The last little bit will be on the main road into Ballycastle. And we've passed the Atlantic View Leisure Park. This is the bay of Ballycastle. We made it, Coastal Causeway. So here we are in Ballycastle. Well done.
Nice one. Well done.